President Donald Trump's third press secretary and chief of staff to former First Lady Melania Trump, is out with a new book next week that, according to the Washington Post, alleges a litany of misdeeds by the 45th president, from ogling a young female staffer to orchestrating lies for the public to attempting to ban the news media from the White House compound. The book, entitled "I'll Take Your Questions Now," also provides a rare look at the interaction between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. In pages obtained by NBC News, Grisham provides a first-hand account of an exchange between the two at the G20 summit in 2019, writing, quote, "With all the talk of sanctions against Russia for interfering in the 2016 election and for various human rights abuses," Trump told Putin, "Okay, I'm going to act a little tougher with you for a few minutes, but it's for the cameras. And after they leave, we'll talk. You understand." Putin responded to Trump's comment calmly. He never seemed to be charmed by Trump or even impressed by him. If anything, the Russians seemed to look down on him. The former president and first lady have both responded to the book by accusing Grisham of being a poor employee who's now seeking to make money at their expense. You know, Katty K, that sounds like Donald Trump, and this book says a lot about what was going on inside the White House at the time. But the frustration I think a lot of us feel is a lot of these people were seeing these things play out in real time, but waited until after to write a book.
I mean, the Trump administration was full of people who could have called out the president in real time for instances like this one, for areas of, national security, frankly, when he treated Vladimir Putin in one way and pretended he was treating him in another way. And they failed to do so. This was not obviously an administration that was full of profiles in courage. And now there is Stephanie Grisham making money out of a book when it's too late to have an impact to say he said one thing when actually he was meaning another thing. And it would have been much more courageous of her, obviously, and actually not just courageous of her, but helpful for the state of the country and the health of the country for her to have called this out in real time. And she was in a position to do so as she was close to the First Lady at that time. She could have done this much earlier.
Jonathan Lemire, let's take a step back and talk about Stephanie Grisham. It's easy for people to forget she was for 8 months the White House press secretary. You could forget that because she never gave a formal briefing to the press during those 8 months. But this is someone who was there from the beginning. Some people have dipped into the Trump orbit, come out and tried to claim some of the glow off that or write a book off of it. She was there from 2015 right through January 6th. She saw all of it. She participated in all of it. So what do you make of this book, why she's doing it, and some of the content of the book? Do you believe it?
Yeah, Stephanie Grisham, during the 2015-2016 campaign, she was what is known as a press wrangler, meaning the campaign staffer who would stay with the traveling press corps, myself included, as we went from city to city, rally to rally. So she was there every single day. She saw every single speech. And then once Donald Trump was elected, she moved over to the First Lady's office for a time, as it became very loyal and close to the former First Lady Melania Trump, which is why some of the Trump orbit have reacted so strongly to this book, because it is not very flattering portrayal of the former First Lady. Then she moved over to be press secretary, as you said, never took a single question, never held a formal briefing, and then eventually moved back to the First Lady's office. A lot of these books written from Trump era advisors are certainly about reputation salvaging. Of course, look, the authors get paid. There's that too. It's also maybe reflective of concerns about her future employment history being so closely aligned to the Trump team. And I'm sure for some it's perhaps a guilty conscience, and maybe that's perhaps what we're seeing at play here as well. I should note two things, though. That Putin moment that she describes in the book, it wasn't like President Trump was tough with Vladimir Putin. I was at that summit. He kind of mockingly waved his finger at Putin and said, "Don't interfere in our elections." And it was clearly a joke. That came across as tough, and certainly behind the scenes, we know he was even friendlier to his Russian counterpart. But I also wanted to share one other detail from the book that I found extraordinary. She writes that there is a Trump aide in the White House who was designated as the Music Man to play him his favorite show tunes, including Memory from Cats. And they would play those songs when the president was in a bit of a rage, and the music was meant to calm him down.
Wow, the Cats soundtrack to soothe the President of the United States. Jim Vanahai, there's also yesterday came out a very specific allegation of sexual harassment made by Stephanie Grisham to the President about another member of the press team working around the President. What do you make of this book, and what do you make of Stephanie Grisham, the person writing it?
I mean, I don't know that there's anything that we learn from the book that's terribly surprising about Donald Trump. I think what's interesting is that Russia exchange for a second. Like, one of the reasons Trump didn't do more as president, and I think from a lot of people's perspective, do more damage, he never really understood power or presidential power. He thought of it more as showmanship, like the idea that he thinks a thug responds to like a gentle nudge and then a little bit of charm shows that he doesn't understand how it works. When you're dealing with dictators, they respond to one thing: brute force, intimidation. He never got that. And so you saw this in so many different aspects of his presidency. So to me, this book isn't that much different than all the other books, which have put a little bit of meat on the bone of something that we all know. There's so little that is now surprising in any of these books about what Donald Trump was doing, because so much of it was unfolding in real time and everyone was leaking it. And now we're just going back and putting some details around it. So is she a credible source? Sure. She's as credible as anybody else who writes a book from the inside. There's pieces of it that I'm sure are exaggerated. There's pieces that are quite accurate. There's nothing that you're like, no way, I can't believe Melania did that, or no way, Donald Trump never. Like, it's exactly what you think that they would do, and it's the behavior that we've seen time and time again.